let me start this one out with a story. The year was 2012. I grew up in this weird period of time where the first half of my childhood, I wasn't an active internet user. And at this point, I was just starting to use the internet, but mostly for like flash games. All this to say, I had no idea that Lego Batman the video game was getting a sequel, despite my being on the internet. One day, soon after its release, my mother came home with Lego Batman 2, having rented it for the weekend. I was ecstatic. Lego Batman 1 was one of my all-time favorites at the time, and seeing Superman on the cover for the sequel, well, I got goosebumps. Not the book series. I couldn't wait to pop that disc into my Wii. I booted it up and pressed start on the edge of my seat to see what Lego Batman 2 would bring.
Fans of billionaire industrialists are in for a treat tonight as frontrunners Bruce Wayne and Lex Luthor face off at the annual Man of the Year award ceremony.
Talk? Talk? What the heck is going on? Why are there actual words being spoken in a Lego game? Little did I know, that would become the standard from then on for Lego games. Sure, I was upset at the time, as were a lot of people. A lot of people are still upset about that today. I've personally come to terms with it, as having dialogue is kind of required if they want to have a story any more complicated than just villains escape Arkham, catch them. But I'm not saying the story we got in this game was any good, but hey, that's not what I'm talking about for this series. Well, not a majority of the time anyway. Of course, what I'm doing is ranking the characters, as always. This series will be one of the shorter ones, possibly my shortest yet if we're not counting Lego Movie 2 game. I thought a lot about how I'm going to rank the characters, because it's not as simple as just including every character on the roster, like it is for some games. The special suits make a return in Lego Batman 2, most of them being completely new from Lego Batman 1. I debated with myself for a while on how I was going to rank them. In Lego Batman 1, I separated the special suits from the standard suit of the character and did so for every character besides Batman and Robin that could use the special suits. So just Nightwing and Batgirl. I'm not going to do that this time because, spoilers, Batman and Robin aren't the only ones that can use the special suits, and that would probably make the list too bloated with random characters with identical abilities. What I'm going to do is represent each special suit once in the ranking. Every character that is able to interact with a special suit pad will have the suit pad considered to be an ability of theirs. It's a little hard to explain this without using examples because I don't want to spoil anything, but I'll explain further once we get to those examples, because trust me, I have more words about this issue. So with the full roster and 4 special suits, each for Batman and Robin, that makes 68 characters to rank. So yeah, a lot smaller of a roster than what we're used to. And as for other rules, no custom characters, obviously. Also, this game has the worst placement of custom character icons on the character grid that I've ever seen. What is this? Are they trying to make the character grid be in 4:3 aspect ratio? I'm going to do the same thing that I did with Lego Pirates, where I have little introductory segments for each individual part, so look out for those. And, I mean, I have a lot to say about this game aside from just the characters, so I don't want to waste any more time. Let's get a crack-a-lackin' at ranking every character in Lego Batman 2. Did I really just say crack-a-lackin'? I wrote that in the script, by the way. Sorry guys, we have to start off with the goons. Sorry, I hate it too. And I'm not excited to return to talking about them after all the stalling I did during the goon segments and the ranking of the first Lego Batman game. But good news, there's only 4 of them in this game, and there are no henchmen in Lego Batman 2 to bloat out the roster like they did in Lego Batman 1, as if they're not just goons with hats. Also, the goons' designs in Lego Batman 2 are a lot better, as their shirts aren't just one solid color. This, though, the Riddler goon, is the least impressive goon of them all, mostly for his design. Riddler goon works for the... Do I really have to say? Doing so would be a spoiler, actually. Who could Riddler goon be a goon of? Could it have something to do with the question marks riddled all over his shirt? Or maybe he's just as curious as us to find out who he works for. Okay, I'm done. I'm done with the dumb, whatever that was. Out of all the goons they could put in the roster to represent a villain, I'm very surprised they chose Riddler, given how little screen time he gets in this game. I know I just said the Riddler was an odd choice to have a goon for in the roster, but Two-Face even more so. Not only did Two-Face barely show up in the story, but at least the Riddler was a major villain in one of the campaigns in the first game. Two-Face looks a lot different in LEGO Batman 2 compared to LEGO Batman 1, and that's all due to the release of the LEGO sets at the time. When the first LEGO Batman game came out, Two-Face was based off of the 2007 sets. LEGO Batman 2 came out as the LEGO DC revival occurred, like in 2012, which gave Two-Face a revamped look, with an extra colorful suit to boot. So, Two-Face getting a special goon in the roster is, I guess, fine with me. What I should also mention is that there are more types of goons in this game that don't show up in the roster. Personally, if it was up to me, I'd switch out Riddler goon with Poison Ivy's Leaf goons. That's what they look like, by the way. If you're going to be a goon, the least you can do is be visually unique. And I guess the Two-Face goon can say his two-colored jacket makes him stand out a little more than the Riddler goon, but, you know. Out of the 4 goons to be granted the privilege of being playable, half of them are the Jokers. It's a little weird how the other 2 goons are goons of villains with little screen time in game, but Joker is one of the 2 main baddies in this game and shows up quite a bit, so it's understandable that Joker has 2 goons representing him in the roster, and their designs differ enough for it to not feel repetitive. This is the Mime Goon, who dresses like a mime. Who would have thought? Anyway, it seems like I've been ignoring the abilities of these goons. That's probably what you're asking, right? What about the abilities? And I haven't talked about them. It's a little hard to talk about abilities of characters when they have none. You know, all the 4 goons, they all have nothing but their fists. And just so you know, in case you were thinking about clicking off, we're not going to see any abilities until the next part of the series. So I won't blame you if you stop watching now. But don't leave, because I like the AdSense. Thanks. We have arrived at the final goon of this series. Man, I'm just so glad they eased up on the villain subordinates in this game compared to the first LEGO Batman game. However, the means of unlocking goons is more annoying in this game. In LEGO Batman 1, you could just buy them from the store. Easy peasy. This game, still easy peasy, but requires you to be in the right section of the open world. Pretty frequently, though, goons will just pull themselves out of the pavement and attack you. Depending on which area of Gotham you're in, different goons will show up. Fight and defeat like 10 of them, and then one will hold his hands up and be available for purchase. This wouldn't be so bad if you had to go through that once per goon and then just have them stop harassing you, but it never stops. Even if you 100% complete the game, these goons still dig out of their graves or whatever to attack you. They're not hard to fight, of course. I mean, one punch sends them flying, but it's annoying to deal with it constantly. Oh, and I like this clown goon the best because of the afro. That is all. We have graduated from supervillain goons and have entered journalistic goons. Let's go with that. Vicky Vale here is the newscaster that essentially recaps the plot for you before every level. If you want to get technical, she did have the honor of being the first character to ever speak in a LEGO game. Wait, no, that goes to Jake Lloyd's Oopsie in LEGO Star Wars 1. And the droids Rogers too. Okay, that was before they set the precedent, though. Vicky Vale is a journalist based in Gotham, so basically the Lois Lane counterpart in the land of the Bat. She's made a few appearances in cartoons and films, but hasn't really been in the limelight, and I mean, I guess for good reason. I mean, Batman is pretty good at avoiding cameras, making her job harder and probably not relevant in a Batman story. But her purpose in this game seems pretty justified as the plot recapper before levels. That being said, it's not as exciting to see her as a playable character, as she does nothing, but at least she has a name. Well, I name dropped Lois Lane in the segment on Vicky Vale, so you could probably guess that she was coming up next. After all, they are both journalists. The only difference is that Vicky Vale isn't dating the superhero. Actually, never mind. Batman and Vicky Vale have dated in Tim Burton's Batman. There I go, Bechdel testing my own video, but other than journalism, there's not much to say about her. Lois Lane, though, does contribute a bit to Superman mythos, as she's usually snooping around for the latest scoop, and of course, is the love interest, you know, but other than her unlocking location in the open world, I don't recall her playing any sort of role in this game, in the story. She's just, roster filler, which is disappointing. If you're going to fill the roster with random characters to make the game seem more worth the money, the least you can do is include some characters that actually do something. Because, of course, as with everyone we've seen thus far in the series, she does nothing but punch. And Lois Lane is a journalist. Something tells me she shouldn't even be punching. Now, it's a real shame to see the commish this low, and to think he was downgraded from the last game. That's right, folks. The first game did Commissioner Gordon better than its sequel. Granted, Commissioner Gordon didn't really play a role in this game. Typically, he deals with putting away street-level criminals, which also happen to be superpowered maniacs, but still street-level. The main villain of this game, aside from the Joker, is Lex Luthor. Billionaires that do illegal arms dealing and fun, inhumane projects to take down Superman, well, that's a bit out of Commissioner Gordon's wheelhouse, so it makes sense for him to take a backseat in the story of this game. But you may ask, how is he downgraded from the first game? Well, take a look at him. Specifically his hands. More specifically, what's lacking from his hands. That's right, folks. Commissioner Gordon lacks a weapon. I want to ask why his weapon was revoked, but the answer might be enough to get this video demonetized, so I'll leave it alone. But he had a pistol in the first game, so what's the deal? Commissioner Gordon without a gun makes him more naked than he was in The Killing Joke. You know what I mean? Once again, we have another character that has no business being in this game, but is in it anyway to fill up the roster. Also, huge downgrade from the first game, in case you haven't seen my ranking for the first LEGO Batman game. Mad Hatter was ranked at number 10. 10. He was the 10th best character in LEGO Batman 1. In LEGO Batman 2, he's the 10th worst. I didn't plan that, by the way. I didn't do that on purpose. That's just how it shook out. Mad Hatter in LEGO Batman 1 had a surprising amount of abilities for such an early LEGO game. And how many of those abilities carried over to this game? None. Absolutely none. Now let's go through each ability that he had in LEGO Batman 1 and see what we missed out on. First, Mind Control. Mind Control was its own ability in the first game where you can make guys open doors for you. This game has no such ability, so while I'll not fault Mad Hatter for not having it, I'm still going to criticize LEGO Batman 2 for not having more abilities. The next ability definitely could have been in this game, his double jump. In the first game, Mad Hatter had a propeller that sprung out of his hat when double jumping that allowed him to go higher. Double jump is kind of an ability in this game, but it's kind of baked into the agility ability, which of course we haven't seen yet. Finally, Mad Hatter had a pistol in the first game. Again, there's no reason for him to not have a pistol, so I don't know what TT Games was thinking. But hey, at least Mad Hatter clicks his heels while jumping, so I guess it's fine. So a point I made at the start of this series is that dialogue is almost a necessity if you want to have an actual coherent story that's not just, the bare minimum. The last LEGO game that TT Games made without voice acting was LEGO Harry Potter Years 5 through 7. If you know the Harry Potter lore, you'd probably know that the latter half of the Harry Potter series gets a bit complicated, hard to follow maybe. So as a game without voice acting, did they do a good job adapting the story? Not very well, unless you knew the story already, and even then it might be hard to parse through. So in the end, yes, I support the decision to pivot towards voice acting in the games. Now, lucky for LEGO Batman 2, it's based on a direct-to-DVD movie that came out around the same time. So basically, the voice acting was already done for the game, for the most part. The story follows Batman and Robin as they try to thwart a Joker and Lex Luthor team-up. Lex Luthor believes the Joker's laughing gas could somehow help him be elected for president. Batman initially rejects the help of Superman before eventually accepting after the Joker and Lex infiltrate the Batcave. Other Justice League members show up. There's a giant Joker robot that you deal with for what feels like half the story, blah, blah, blah. The story sucks. Usually I wouldn't care, but since this is just an adaptation of a bargain bin movie, I feel somewhat offended. I don't know. But when I first played this game, I didn't know that it was based on a movie. And seeing how this game's story is longer than the movie's runtime of a whopping 1 hour and 11 minutes, It makes sense as to why you're fighting the same giant Joker robot for the last 6 out of 15 levels. Also, Lex Luthor is so insanely dumb. From what we knew of Lex Luthor in the Superman mythos, he was a calm, smart, conniving man. In no situation would he ever consider an alliance with the Joker, possibly the most unpredictable person in the DC universe. Also, does he really think Laughing Gas would get people to vote for him? I think his secretly sinister charm would probably get him farther on the ballot. There's really no need to attempt the most elaborate voter fraud scheme of all time. And constructing a robot the size of Optimus Prime that looks suspiciously like the Joker, hair and all, is not exactly what I would call subtle. So, yeah, TT Games, stick to adapting movies that are actually good. I beg you. Now, I don't know if Cillian Murphy watches my videos. I'd wager not, but I mean, you never know. So, Mr. Murphy, if you're watching, I wish Scarecrow was higher. I really do. But in Lego Batman 1, he just had mind control, which isn't an ability in this game, which leaves him with nothing. Okay, Cillian Murphy, you can click off if you so choose. Anyway, Scarecrow is really just in the roster for the courtesy on behalf of TT Games. Something I'd like to talk about is how a lot of these Batman villains are unlocked. There are a ton of vehicle pads throughout the open world, one for each district, we'll call them. These vehicle pads are initially highlighted with a red beacon, which turn blue when you activate them. In addition, a villain will be revealed within the district of the vehicle pad you activated, and you can go find them and fight them. The boss fights are all the same, basically. Either they jump and smash down onto you, or they do flips if they're acrobatic. The fights take maybe 20 seconds, tops. But Scarecrow was unlocked in the theme park within a giant jack-o'-lantern. Not all of the villain locations are thematically appropriate, but Scarecrow is one of the few exceptions. Also, Scarecrow looks identical to how he looked in Lego Batman 1, mostly because Scarecrow hadn't shown up in any new Lego sets at the time, but I like this look on Scarecrow, for nostalgia, if nothing else. Ra's al Ghul, that's how I'm pronouncing it, not Raish. Ra's. I pronounced his name Ra's al Ghul in the Lego Batman 1 series, but I'm not doing that this time. As someone who doesn't know a lick of Arabic, I consulted the internet and found that Ra's is the closer to correct. Playing the Arkham games, I got a little too used to saying Raish, but I'm working to change that. Also, I don't say this guy's name very often, so bear with me. Ra's al Ghul was also featured in a Nolan Batman film, coincidentally the same one as Scarecrow, the guy we just covered. Now, unfortunately, Ra's al Ghul still doesn't have much going for him. In Lego Batman 1, he was unlocked by finding every mini-kit throughout all the levels. And really, the only thing going for him was a fast tightrope walk. Yeah, and he doesn't even have that anymore. But he gets a cape in return, so good for him, I guess. Oh, and also a sword. He only had batons in Lego Batman 1. His sword is pretty cool, and also the reason why he's ranked above everyone else thus far. At least he has a weapon. We finally reached an ability. Well, not really, but kind of. This guy has a gun, and Commissioner Gordon, his boss, doesn't. Make of that what you will. Thankfully, Lego Batman 2 did the same thing with law enforcement characters as they did with the goons in comparison to Lego Batman 1. As in, they didn't go too crazy with it. In Lego Batman 1, there was the police officer, SWAT guy, security guard, police marksman, really just all synonyms for essentially the same thing. This time around, it's just Policeman. I don't even think they needed this guy in the roster still, but it's still preferable over what we got in Lego Batman 1. The first ability in this game that I'm presenting with Policeman is technically not an ability the Policeman has, but it's close enough to talk about it. The Policeman kind of has the target ability. He can shoot things from afar. I say technically because some characters with ranged weapons can't aim directly at what they want to shoot, like they can in later Lego games. Policeman has no such crosshairs, nor does any character with the target ability. But you can spam the shoot button and spray bullets that are just barely faster than your run speed, so I guess that's something. To be honest, it's a little surprising to see Huntress in this game. Don't get me wrong, I like Huntress, and I'm primarily referring to her depiction in Justice League Unlimited when I say this. But referring to her justifiability as a character in this game, I really can't say. Based on the inclusion of Huntress and a few other characters in this game that I can't disclose yet, I'd say someone on the developer team for LEGO Batman 2 really is a fan of Justice League Unlimited. And hey, it was a pretty good show, but that being said, where is Green Arrow? In Justice League Unlimited, Green Arrow played a pretty substantial role in the show as the newcomer to the team. But Green Arrow isn't in this game, especially since people do tend to associate Green Arrow with the Justice League, which is kind of the biggest selling point in this game. But hey, Green Arrow isn't the focus of this segment, it's Huntress. As you can probably see, she also holds a ranged weapon, but unlike the Policeman, she has her iconic crossbow. Again, you can't aim, which is a huge disappointment, especially since a slightly different ability we'll see soon can actually aim. But all in all, despite my qualms about Green Arrow, I think it's pretty neat to include Huntress, a character I wouldn't have bet to be on this roster if I didn't already know. So I have a little confession to make. I know I made a big deal about there only being 4 goons in this game, but technically LexBot here also should count as a goon. He's unlocked the same way as the other goons, and they're the standard enemy you fight in a few of the story levels in this game, specifically the ones involving meddling with Luthor technology. So yeah, they're robot goons, sure, but at least they are not called the Lex Goons, then I would have no excuse. But then again, LexBot dual wields blasters and doesn't need to resort to his metal fists to fight enemies, which would still probably hurt more than human goon fists. In a world where automation threatens the workforce in every industry, TT Games is once again not sending a good message to kids. Oh, you want to start a criminal empire? Consider investing in a goon force of robots. Cheaper in the long run, low turnover, and more effective. I'm kidding, of course. I'm kidding. Don't start a criminal empire. And also, there's no way an army of LexBots is cheaper than a regular human troop of criminals. But LexBot wielding the blasters works just about as good as someone with only one ranged weapon. Maybe the 2 guns output a slightly faster rate of fire. At least it feels like it. And, you know, that's all I need. For a guy who got the honor of getting a goon to represent him in this game, it is a surprise to see him this low on the list. The other guys with goons at least get a little something extra to make them worth more for 100% completing the game. Two-Face, as I said in his goon segment, got a completely revamped look from LEGO Batman 1 to LEGO Batman 2 because of the LEGO DC revival of 2012. In LEGO Batman 1 and in the 2007 set, Two-Face's look was based on Two-Face from Batman the Animated Series, while the much more colorful 2012 version was based on the Tommy Lee Jones portrayal of Two-Face in Batman Forever. I think initially I was pretty adverse to the 2012 Two-Face, but I think that was just because of nostalgia for the 2007 version, and this was just a huge change. Over time, though, I think the 2012 version grew on me. Both versions are respectable, though. You see Two-Face in 2 instances in the story. You first fight him briefly in the introductory mission, and then you see him again in the Arkham Asylum Antics level, where he drives his truck in a maze. Impeccable driving on his part, though. Those are some tight turns. Two-Face still wields dual pistols, which hasn't changed from LEGO Batman 1. He lost his toxin immunity, though, which I guess makes sense because only half of his body would be immune, right? I'll be honest, I didn't expect for this guy to be invited. Like, I'm not disappointed that he's at the party, but like, I didn't think he was friends with anyone that would be at the party, you know? He seemed like he could be easily cut from the game, and he's still a relatively new villain to the Batman mythos. Hush was in LEGO Batman 1 and was unlocked by saving all citizens in peril. How is he unlocked in this game? Oh, just fight him on the roof of the hospital or something, which is shaped like a cross, which is just so tacky. Anyway, Hush is identical to Two-Face in weapon choice, the dual pistols, and it's pretty clear that he's roster filler. In LEGO Batman 1, he had a slightly faster build speed, which is rendered useless if you already had the fast build extra, which in that game you probably did at that point. In this game, though, Hush doesn't have that fast build ability, But it's very possible that in this game you can unlock Hush before the fast build extra. So you definitely could have given Hush the fast build buff here. Yet another missed opportunity by TT Games. And I thought Huntress was a weird addition. Captain Boomerang? Why this guy? Now, for the base game, excluding the DLC, the developers typically included at least one villain that is associated with each of the other Justice League members that show up in this game. I think this was supposed to be the villain that goes with the Flash. Captain Boomerang typically goes up against the Scarlet Speedster, but I feel like there are at least 3 villains that would be better suited to be dubbed Flash's villain in the base game. In the DLC, they added 2 more Flash villains, but still left out the main one? Are you kidding? Whatever. I'll get to them whenever I do, and I'll talk about it then. But Captain Boomerang just seems like a total out-of-nowhere pick. But he does bring something new to the table. Remember when I talked about Huntress and said that there is a similar ability to the ranged weapons that can aim? Well, here it is. I'm calling it the Boomerang ability. Basically, you hold down the action button and a triangular crosshair shows up. You can target several objects and you'll hit them all one after the other. Throughout the open world where you go gold brick hunting, there are quite a few gold bricks where you have to bust several identical items that are lined up within a certain amount of time. The Boomerang was designed specifically for those gold bricks. You can target them all and take them all down in one fell swoop. Those were some of the easiest gold bricks in the game, and you can thank Captain Boomerang for that. Hey, it's Alfred. He's way farther up in the ranking than I expected, so much so that I forgot he was even in the game. But he has a pretty good reason to be up this high this time. In LEGO Batman 1, Alfred had no abilities, but he held such gracefulness with his combat and jump animations. I made a big point on that, and I stand by it, even though I hyped it up so much just to stretch out the segment at the time. This time, well, I dare say, I think he's been training in between games. That dog. He seems less eloquent with his movements, sure, but he seems to have more pep in his step. Also, Alfred here just might be Captain America in disguise. He's using that platter like an absolute pro. And also, if Alfred does have an ability this time around, if the platter comment didn't tip you off, Alfred has his version of the Boomerang. I'm labeling it Boomerang because it functions the exact same as one. You can hit multiple things with one throw. And the fact that it's Alfred doing it makes me want to choose him when I need to get those gold bricks for hitting those multiple items in a small interval of time. Well, there's others I would choose before Alfred that we haven't seen yet, of course, but at least I'd choose Alfred over Captain Boomerang. Here's actually the first DLC character that we're covering in this series. I honestly had no idea this game had 2 DLC character packs until a few years after its release. I'm going to do an introductory segment on the DLC for this game a little later on in a future part, so I want to reserve most of what I have to say for that. But to give you a little taste of what I think, I'm not a fan. But hey, let's leave the DLC out of this. Let's just focus on the character at hand. This is Katana, yet another Suicide Squad member. There are more characters in this game outside of Katana and Captain Boomerang that can be considered Suicide Squad members, so I wonder if that was on purpose. Anyway, Katana here. Man, I cannot get over her hair. This hairpiece is what I call the hag hairstyle. Like only the most decrepit of witches would have this hair. Not Katana. Come on. The rest of her design is fine though. Nothing too special, but at least not horrendous. Like her hair. She holds a katana, go figure, and has a new ability to the series. I mentioned it in the Mad Hatter segment, but agility is back, and Katana is our first character of several to have it. Walls that can be interacted with agility characters are pretty obvious. It's a blue and white checkered pattern that sticks out like a sore thumb in the open world, but that's another topic I want to save for yet another introductory segment, so I'll save my thoughts on that. Agility characters, though, such as Katana, can jump from these walls and swing on poles and jump slightly higher, but I mean, that's all I can say for Katana. In LEGO Batman 1, each campaign, with the exception of the Riddler villain campaign, had a vehicle level. where instead of playing as Batman and Robin, or two villains, you play as their vehicles. The vehicle type differed for each campaign. I ranked those in addition to the characters. However, LEGO Batman 2 didn't do that. There are vehicles, but they're almost exclusively used in the open world. The vehicles are parked sporadically throughout the map for purchase, and you spawn them by accessing those vehicle panels emitting those blue beacons. There are land vehicles, boats, and aircrafts available to ride in. Also, the reward for collecting all 10 minikits in each level nets you a tiny version of an existing vehicle. Before you ask, I'm not ranking them. You do play some levels where you ride in vehicles, but the choice of which vehicle is never yours. Even in free play, you ride the same vehicle you did in story mode. The only time you get a choice is in the open world, and it's not even worth it there either. From the story alone, you unlock characters that can get around faster by themselves than any vehicle could. So, ultimately, the vehicles are worthless. Merely an excuse to make it more tedious to 100% the game. But if I'm being honest, I think I still prefer the way they handled vehicles in this game over LEGO Batman 1. Those vehicle levels in the first game they stuck out like a sore thumb. They were jank with vehicle physics. I'd rather have more character levels. Not sure if that's a hot take, but I think most of us can agree that even though vehicles were treated better in LEGO Batman 2, they were still subpar at best. The feline villainess herself makes a return to LEGO Batman 2, not that it was any surprise to anyone. Just like the majority of Batman villains in this game, she plays close to no role at all in this game. She was in the Arkham Antics level, and you have to make her crash her motorcycle in the maze. By the way, who approved a maze in the heart of Arkham Asylum? I feel like that's a one-way ticket to workers' comp. In any case, just like Two-Face in his truck, Catwoman must be using those cat-like reflexes of hers to expertly navigate that maze without fail. Outside of that level, though, she really doesn't get any screen time. Not that it's surprising. Her one ability in this game is the same as Katana's, which is agility. So she can jump slightly higher, interact with blue and white tiled walls, and swing on poles. Again, nothing about her in this game is a shock. She got the bare minimum on account of her not having any bearing on the plot. Next, we have another character from the Hero DLC pack, the second one after Katana, and also the first character that renders vehicles useless in this game. This is Zatanna, and she is wasted, I'd say. Zatanna is known for being able to do almost anything with magic, but none of that magicness is translatable to this game, since there are so few abilities. The only thing the developers would spare her is our next ability that is new to the series, Flight. This is the first LEGO game with Flight, and I've got to say, this sucks. You point the crosshairs in the general direction you want to go, but precise maneuvering is a little too much to ask for, I guess, according to TT Games. Yeah, you can get to one side of the map to the other in less than a minute, but if you try to land on something, it might take more than a few tries. It's hard to estimate how far forward you will be launched after exiting flight mode, and with how weird the camera controls are in flight, it's hard to see if you're actually above the thing you want to land on. And it's only in the open world where it's like that. In levels, it works just how it does in later LEGO games, but TT Games was new to the flight mechanic, I guess, and open world flying improved immediately in the next game to have it, LEGO Marvel Superheroes, but hey, that's a discussion for another day. The next flight-only character is dear old Sinestro. Sinestro is a bit of an odd pick for this game. Yeah, Green Lantern is in this game, so it's not unreasonable to make one of his enemies a playable character. But you unlock him through activation of a vehicle pad. Most of the other villains that are unlocked through vehicle pads are human, slightly superpowered Batman villains, you know. So to see Sinestro, an alien, Green Lantern villain, it's almost like Whiplash, you know. The real kicker is, I don't even think he's reached his full potential in this game. Now, without spoiling too much, Green Lantern has a certain ability that I think totally could have been extended to Sinestro, but they made the ability color specific. Since Sinestro is part of the Yellow Lantern Corps and not the Green Lantern Corps, Sinestro doesn't get the ability, which leaves him with only flight. Flight is fine enough for transporting yourself from one place to another, but having it as his only ability only sets him back because there are plenty of characters that can fly in addition to doing other things. Man, what a throwback. Not only did they bring him back from the first game, but they also didn't do a single thing in regards to his appearance. They didn't even want to switch it up to the alternate design that we saw in the DS version of LEGO Batman 1. Ugh. Killer Moth was also a villain that you unlock by fighting him in the open world, and he happens to have an actual appropriate boss fight. It's actually pretty similar to his boss fight in LEGO Batman 1. You fight him at the top of the energy plant, where there happens to be this huge light bulb, and he hovers around it until you rotate this wheel nearby, which sends him down. You hit him, and repeat the process until he's done. One of the more unique boss fights in the open world, and I'm glad it was this bozo that received the honor. Killer Moth was ranked the 14th best in the first game, and even though he dropped all the way down to 47th in the sequel, I dare say he has improved. In the first game, there was no flight, which is a problem for a guy with wings. To compensate, he was given the glide ability, but now that flying is a thing, his glide ability was revoked and replaced with flight. It's really goofy to see Killer Moth fly at full speed, especially with the way he haphazardly flutters his wings. It's very weird. And his gun returns this time around, which gives him the target ability. But overall, it feels almost like poetic irony that Killer Moth was improved so much, yet drops dramatically in ranking between games. Why yes, this game actually did exist before Big Figs. How could you tell? This is the first character from the Villain DLC pack, and I've got to say, why? Why? Of all the characters in the DC Universe, why select a guy that you know, with the LEGO minifigure technology they had at that point in time, would be so underwhelming to see adapted? It wouldn't be another 3 years until Gorilla Grodd got a proper physical LEGO version, and I did check the date on that one, because I know I'm not the best with that, but this version is just astonishingly bad. They used the hat for the gorilla suit guy from the collectible minifigure series 3, but it looks like it was shaped a bit differently, but definitely that was the hat that they were basing it off of, just so they can make Grodd look, like himself, even though he doesn't at all. Grodd has one ability, which is new to the series, but not to the channel. Last time we saw it was in the last ranking, LEGO Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah, and honestly, this ability is almost a staple. The strength ability. Orange handles are not unknown to TT Games, and swole characters like Gorilla Grodd, apparently, can pull them. Oh, and also, get used to the orange handle in this southern area of the map, because I think I'm going to use it every time I showcase this ability. We got the new, updated Bane from the 2012 DC theme revival in this game instead of the old design, and to be honest, not much has changed. His eye goggles look a little more like Spider-Man eyes this time, but I mean, that's really it. I mean, it's not as if we wanted, Tom Hardy Bane, but Bane is a solid choice for any Batman-related thing with the character roster, which also happens to be just LEGO games, I think. Bane appeared in the 2012 Batcave set with a drilling machine that he owns for some reason. That drill machine makes an appearance in this game inside the Arkham Asylum during the Arkham Antics level, and I shudder to imagine how that big old thing was smuggled into a prison. The drill machine was also in the vehicle roster called Bane's Mole Machine, as if we expected anything else, but like Grodd, and more suitably than Grodd, Bane's only ability is the strength ability, which is pretty much all he's good for anyway. Being strong is, I think, his favorite thing to do. Call me crazy. Well, Bane got an updated model. Can't say the same for this fellow though, but to be honest, I don't really mind this version compared to the brick-built Clayface released in the Lego Batman movie sets. Also, while the same general look is maintained in the sequel, the texture seems a little different this time around. I think it's the lighting maybe, but Clayface was downgraded, I'd say. Last time, Clayface had strength and high jump. Why did Clayface have the ability to jump so high? Beats me, as usual, but it gets revoked in this game since high jump is part of the agility ability, and the developers knew Clayface wouldn't have that one. So, to compensate, Clayface was given regenerative hearts, which is just such an out-of-nowhere ability, especially since he's the only character that had this ability in the entire game. No joke. I'm not sure why they singled out Clayface. Like, yeah, you can rationalize that Clayface would regenerate health because of the fact he doesn't have any means of getting injured. Regenerative hearts is an extra in this game, so I wouldn't say the developers designed this extra, or rather copied and pasted it from a past Lego game specifically for Clayface, but, you know, it's a weird, unique thing that only Clayface has.
Hey, editor me, coming in to say that he also has strength. I don't know why I didn't say it. I don't know why it wasn't in the script, but I'm covering my bases, you know.
Another Justice League Unlimited regular. Black Canary and Huntress had a bit of a rivalry in that show, and their fights were some of the best animated, which is saying something when it comes to the DCAU. So it's nice to see them both in this game, but to recreate a fight between those two in this game, I think would be pretty underwhelming, but oh well. Black Canary's main thing isn't even that she fights, but rather she has a supersonic scream, and that's what we see in this game. Also, a new ability. We're just making so much progress on this episode, you just don't even know. Anyway, Glass Shattering returns from Lego Batman 1, as well as a few other Lego Batman games that come to mind. Black Canary, when pressing the action button, lets out a scream that can shatter any glass you see. However, I have a bit of a problem with Black Canary in this game. Why does she not have agility? She doesn't, by the way. She doesn't have it in this game. I can't fathom why not. I believe it is entirely deserved for her, and same with Huntress while we're at it, who also didn't have that ability. But hey, as we all should start to realize if we didn't already, this game is full of weird perplexities. I mean, we just covered Clayface with regenerative hearts, you know?
Sorry, I keep forgetting things, but she also has kind of the target ability because she can shoot sonic scream balls out of her mouth. It sounds terrible, but I mean, just look at it.
Don't laugh. I'm serious. It was a common name back in those days, okay? Dick Grayson didn't get his own character in the first Lego Batman game. I can guarantee you, though, if he was a character in the first game, he'd be at the bottom of the list, right next to Bruce Wayne. He wouldn't do jack, you know. And Dick Grayson in Lego Batman 2, though, actually serves a purpose, unlike the hypothetical Lego Batman 1 version. At first glance, he might seem like a guy who punches, but this guy is your gateway to some better abilities, and by that I mean he can interact with Robin suit pads. Now, each special Robin suit is being represented in this series as characters, so I'm not going to go into specifics of the suits themselves, but just know that Dick Grayson can turn into them. The only real difference between Dick Grayson and the actual Robin character is the lack of batarangs, which, you know, is expected. Also, it's interesting to see which version of Robin it actually is. Like Lego Batman 1, Robin was Tim Drake. But Dick Grayson is the Robin in Lego Batman 2. But then they go back to Tim Drake in Lego Batman 3? Give it to me straight, TT Games. Is Jason Todd dead or not? I feel like, in my heart of hearts, you guys saw this coming. It only makes sense that if there's the alter ego of Robin that does nothing but the right to use Robin's suit pads, you can bet there's an equivalent for the main man himself. The Batman. Batman. If I'm going to be petty, I think I prefer the 2006 Bruce Wayne, though. I don't know. I think that Bruce Wayne just looked like an honest guy. 2012 Bruce Wayne, the one you see in front of you, he looks like, you know, a shady businessman, a banker who intends to squeeze every last cent out of you, you know? But also, it's entirely possible that my preference is completely nostalgia-based. Oh, who knows. But Bruce Wayne can indeed use Batman's suit pads. The reason I put Bruce Wayne above Dick Grayson, aside from the obvious fact that he's Batman, is because the Batman suits in this game are used slightly more frequently than the Robin suits, which makes total sense. It is Batman's game, after all. Like I mentioned briefly before, LEGO Batman 2 is one of the first LEGO games to have DLC. The absolute first would be LEGO Harry Potter Years 5 through 7, but that's not the topic at hand. There were 2 character DLCs that were released with this game that initially was a pre-order bonus for console versions, or at the beginning just Xbox. Just an aside real quick, never pre-order games. It's a toxic practice in the industry, and pre-ordering only gives these greedy executives more reason to mandate it from their developers. Don't give these dingoes your money before you even know the quality of the game. And a lot of the time, these bonuses just become available later on. And once you know it, that's what ended up happening with LEGO Batman 2. They later were released for $5 a pop on the Xbox Live and PSN marketplaces. They never were released on PC though, not officially at least. The DLC files are available online and it's pretty easy to mod it into your game on PC. Now, I haven't done it, wink, but if you do decide to do that, just be cautious of the files you download. Of course. And again, I'm not saying I've done it, but if I did, I'd say that these DLC packs are barely worth the effort of taking the time to drag and drop the files into the game folder. I've only covered 3 of the 10 DLC characters, so I can't speak about too many, but LEGO Batman 2 has a running problem of not enough abilities to go around. And while they made this game's roster smaller to account for that, these extra 10 don't really add much. It's cool to see these characters in the game, sure, but the 2 LEGO DC games that follow this one do these characters leagues better. It felt like they made these 2 DLC packs in an afternoon, which is a terrible vibe to have for anything in a video game, even a crappy pre-order bonus. That being said, shame on Warner Bros. Interactive for not porting the DLC to Steam. You really couldn't fork over 2.2 kilobytes worth of game file. This guy here is the award winner of the biggest simp in DC Comics. I don't know about you guys, but if a guy came up to me saying that we were lovers in the ancient Egyptian times, I'd probably have the same reaction as Hawkgirl. This dude is crazy. And I gotta say, they made him look more crazy in this game than how he acts whenever Hawkgirl is in the same room as him. I'm not a fan of whatever is going on with his eyes. Like, I get it. They're doing the same thing they do with Batman, where they make his eyes white because that's how it is in the comics. But the eye holes in the helmet for Hawkman are way bigger than they should be, and he looks like he does not know what's going on 100% of the time. In this game, though, he gets 2 abilities. One, obviously, is flight, with, his wings, but he also has strength. Oh, and his Thanagarian mace packs quite the punch. Is he gone? You're sure?
Yeah, dude, yes.
You saw him leave.
I swear on my firstborn.
Wow. Really? Okay then, I guess let's talk about Hawkgirl. Here's Hawkgirl. And see, that's a lot better. Her eyes are all white, but they're not huge bug eyes. I don't know how they managed to get this one right but mess up so badly with Hawkman. It's like there are 2 designers that went head to head on whose eye design was better, but no one wanted to tell the guy who designed Hawkman's eyes that it looked bad because his dad was a Warner Bros. Executive or something. So they kept the better one for Hawkgirl and the bad one for Hawkman. Lucky for us though, Hawkgirl is the better character anyway. That's why she's ranked higher than Hawkman, because they are identical in every other way. Flight, strength, Thanagarian mace, boom. We got the clown princess of crime up next, and just like everything about her relationship with the Joker, I just feel bad for her in this game. The Joker basically ditched her to have this bromance with Lex Luthor, leaving her to rot in Arkham Asylum. Of course, it's not surprising at all. Harley Quinn has made quite the transformation as a character in DC mythos in the past decade, basically right after this game came out. She now operates as mostly an independent villain/anti-hero, rather than just, Joker's woman. And for good riddance, too. Harley Quinn and the Joker are the definition of an abusive relationship, and pretty much every other depiction of her is Harley Quinn by herself, or working with Poison Ivy as her new partner. One thing I will say, though, is that Harley Quinn is starting to become oversaturated in DC media. I like her show on HBO Max, and Margot Robbie's depiction is alright, but it's time to step back from Harley Quinn a little bit. The recent Suicide Squad game was a disaster, and there's a Suicide Squad anime featuring Harley that is being released in July 2024. There's just too much Harley. DC frequently forgets about the vast arsenal of characters at their disposal, and there's more than just Batman and his villains. I get that Batman sells, but come on. Excuse my rant though, let's talk about her in this game. Harley Quinn having agility is common sense, but what's not common sense are the physics of her hammer. She pulls it out of nowhere, and it functions the same way as Alfred's platter, or Captain Boomerang's boomerang. It's a welcome feature though, as are her movement animations. It's cool to see characters walk atypically, and it's the small things that really count in this game. Returning from LEGO Batman 1 with a way cooler design is Batgirl. Barbara Gordon is by far the best Batgirl, and you see, I know that it's Barbara Gordon because of the red hair. In the first game, Batgirl had the ability to use suit pads, basically making her exactly the same as Batman gameplay-wise. I regret to inform you, though, they took that privilege away from her in this game. You could definitely make a case for sexism here, but, I'm not going to do it. Now, I know exactly why Batgirl can't use suit pads in this game, but I'm going to save that for a few segments from now. Bear with me. But this is a huge downgrade for Batgirls everywhere, and by Batgirls plural, I mean just this one. Thankfully, though, she still has a few things to her. The first are her batarangs. They operate the same as the Boomerang ability, but it just felt wrong to call the batarangs boomerangs. Obviously, I can't call anything other than batarangs. So while the Boomerang and Batarang abilities are different by name, they function the exact same way. Also, Batgirl has the grapple ability. You see those orange hooks with a little Batman symbol on the ground, and you can zip right up or pull things off the wall. Hey, it's the other guy you play as for the majority of the story, aside from the titular character. Now, despite the jokes I made that the alter ego of Robin in this game is Dick Grayson, as we discussed in the last part, it really is Tim Drake. After all, it was some mistake made in development, and really, it does not matter at all. So it's my headcanon that this Robin is Dick Grayson anyway, because the concept of canon is ultimately pointless at the end of the day. What you want to be an official event in a fictional universe is your decision. Screw what Feige says. Robin in this game is what happens if you combine the abilities of Dick Grayson and Batgirl. Robin is equipped with batarangs, or wingdings if you want to get technical, but that's a stupid name and I'm not going to call it that. And Robin can also grapple. And then Robin has the suit pad ability that Dick Grayson has, which in reality, the Robin suit pad ability is in the game because of Robin, not because of his alter ego. Now, of course, the Robin suits are being represented in this list later on because they're better than vanilla Robin, which goes to show that Robin is pretty much nothing without him being able to change to different suits. Well, not nothing. Nothing would be the goons. From one Robin straight to another. This is the Damian Wayne Robin, confirmed by the words in between the parentheses. This Robin was made available through the Underwhelming Hero DLC, and he doesn't really differ much from the last Robin with the exception of the design. This Robin has a different hairpiece and has a little bit of green sprinkled throughout the suit, a color that is absent with the standard Robin. But Damian Wayne Robin doesn't differ at all from the standard Robin, which leads me to my rant. In LEGO Batman 1, Robin and Nightwing are basically the same. You use a Robin suit pad, and while they still operate the same, they still have unique suit designs, which is why I separated the special suits of Robin and Nightwing in LEGO Batman 1, and the same for Batman and Batgirl. However, in this game, when you step on a suit pad as Damian Wayne Robin or the next guy I'm covering, you don't get a unique look. Damian Wayne Robin's special suits look identical to the standard Robin. When you switch, you'll even notice that in the upper left corner, your name switches to just Robin, not Robin Damian Wayne. As if you never played as any Robin other than the main Robin. Whew, now the word Robin sounds weird. But it's for this reason that Batgirl can't use Batman suit pads, because she would just turn into Batman, which doesn't make logical sense. At least with Damian Wayne, you can argue, yeah, his special suit variants look the same as Tim's, but it's still Robin, so it doesn't matter. But you can't do that with Batgirl. You can't just justify anyone other than Bruce Wayne magically turning into Batman, aside from, like, I don't know, Terry McGinnis. From another Robin, straight to the spin-off. Yeah, Nightwing also was included in the Heroes DLC, which feels kind of wasteful, since Nightwing has no differences in abilities to the Damian Wayne Robin, or regular Robin. I support Nightwing making the cut for the DLC over Damian Wayne. Like, if we could switch one of them out, I'd switch out Damian Wayne in a heartbeat. But let's be real, why wasn't Nightwing in the base game? I'd wager him to be one of the more important members of the Bat family, and he was the 6th character on the roster in the first game. What's that? Are you telling me that Warner Brothers, and by extension TT Games, wanted to goad players into giving them more money, but they also inadvertently gatekept a large portion of their player base by making a pre-order bonus for Xbox players only until releasing it on PSN Marketplace years later and never bringing it to PC ever? Sounds about right. But that's not even the worst thing. Remember that issue I had with Damian Wayne Robin, and that the developers didn't even bother giving him a unique design for the special suits? Well, I'm horrified to tell you that Nightwing doesn't even get a special look. At least you can rationalize with Damian Wayne. You know, you could say the design doesn't change much anyway. They're both Robin. But with Nightwing, the dude changed colors and hairdo and personality. There's no reason for him to just revert to regular Robin every time he steps on a suit pad. Even the name of the character and the icon, again, just goes back to Robin. Incredible laziness. And to think these guys make up 20% of all DLC characters. Ugh. Also, he has, batarangs, grapple. And you know, I might be nitpicking with this one, but Nightwing holds batons always, but pulls out a batarang when he goes to aim. I think it would have been cool if batons acted as a boomerang. If Harley can boomerang her comically large hammer, this doesn't seem like a big ask. Here he is. The main man. The Bat one guy. The Bat guy. Okay, I really should have thought about how I was going to land that. But it's the main character, and you can bet your bottom really big penny that you play this guy probably more than any other character. You definitely play him the most in story mode, but even in the open world, there are a ton of rooftop parkour sequences that are designed specifically for Batman suits. And, Robin with his suits, for that matter. You can see 2 or more of Batman's special suits along the course of the rooftop sequence, and a lot of the time you have to use one of Batman's suit's abilities to open up another suit pad, which would be needed to complete the course to get the gold brick. Now, if you have characters with the same ability as the special suits, you can probably just switch between the characters you need. But there's not a replacement character for all of the abilities you can get through the Batman and Robin special suits. But hey, we can't talk about those yet. But just like Robin, Batman has his batarangs and grapple, and really he doesn't show much of a difference from the first game aside from a different suit selection, a higher resolution, and being able to talk. Also, in the final level, when you beat Lex Luthor and he's on the ground, a blue bat symbol appears on the ground, and you interact with it to deliver the final blow, which concludes the entire campaign. And yeah, the game won't accept any character other than Batman. Not an ability, it's barely an inconvenience in the level, but it's rather charming if I'm going to be honest. Batman again? Oh, sorry, dyslexia. Morbius! Man-Bat returns from LEGO Batman 1, and this guy, just like Killer Moth, suffered in the last game. He was born to fly, forced to glide. That's what he said in the first game, but not really because, he didn't talk. Luckily, in LEGO Batman 2, his wings finally give him the thing he wanted to do. Fly. I'm happy for the guy, truly, but something that isn't immediately obvious from looking at him is his sonic ability. Man-Bat didn't have the sonic ability in the first LEGO Batman game, even though I thought he should have, so it's good to see he's getting his due here. But this time he can shoot sonic balls at targeted objects. I tested it, and the sonic balls don't really serve much of a purpose outside of combat. It's pretty difficult to take out glass using the sonic balls alone. Like, you can almost get there, but not quite. And there's really no point in using it as a replacement for the standard screen.
Hey, Editor Me back again. Just want to let you know that Man-Bat also has strength. Now, it turns out Man-Bat, to be honest, it would probably bump him up in the ranking a little bit. But you know what? It's just Man-Bat. You know, it's just Morbius. I'm not really too shook up about it. He might go maybe 3 spots above, is my thinking. But, you know, that's marginal. So we're just going to keep it that way. He just say, yeah, Man-Bat should be a little higher, but I don't really care enough to totally shake up the list because it would require moving characters from different parts. But, you know, whatever. You get it.
Here's the second villain from the Villain DLC pack, and also the third Flash villain in this roster. Oh, and also the last Flash villain in this roster. Now, okay, here comes another rant. You guys know my qualms with Gorilla Grodd in this game, and I think Captain Cold is more worthy of a spot than Grodd anyway, and as I'll get into. Back in the Gorilla Grodd segment, I mentioned that they didn't seem to want to include the main Flash villain in this game, and that villain is Flash Uno Reverse. Not to spoil it, but the Scarlet Speedster is the only character with speedy tendencies, and I think another speedster, like maybe Reverse Flash, would be in higher demand over just another strong gorilla. And by golly, are fast characters fun to play, and it wouldn't even be hard to reskin Flash to accommodate, you know? But this is Captain Cold, and he's definitely a guy you're going to use. I'm also introducing 2 out of 3 of Captain Cold's abilities as new ones, and it all has to do with that cold gun of his. Sure, he can target things, that's the old one, that's not new, but the gun also has the ability to freeze water with the all-new freeze ability. It's as simple as it sounds. You can freeze to make platforms, climbable walls, or even to save a brain-dead citizen in peril that somehow got stuck in the fire hydrant water spout. In the first LEGO Batman game, the freeze ability was exclusive to Mr. Freeze, so it's nice to see that it's been expanded to more characters. Captain Cold's final ability is an extension of the freeze ability, also used with the cold gun. I'm going to call them ice switches. I'm not sure what their official name is, but that seems like it's good enough. And when you hit these switches with a cold weapon of any kind, it'll cause ice to spray over a hatch and release whatever it's holding. Freeze is actually a pretty common ability that you're going to need in the levels and mostly in the open world because there are a ton of those, you know, citizen perils with the fire hydrant, and you're going to need them for obstacle courses. But there are better characters for this purpose.
Bonus levels are a staple in LEGO games. After completing most of what the game has to offer, LEGO games typically have an extra bonus level. The quality of the level varies greatly from one LEGO game to the next. I talked about bonus levels in LEGO Pirates of the Caribbean, and you unlock that one after getting all 84 gold bricks. And that level was just beating up bad guys. For LEGO Batman 2 though, you unlock the bonus level after getting 175 gold bricks out of 250. So you don't need to 100% the game to gain access to the bonus level of LEGO Batman 2. And to be honest, it's not bad. The level is called LEGO Gotham City. Now, I have good news and bad news. Bad news, it's a million stud level. They're super common with LEGO games where you scour an area for every single little stud throughout. There are exactly 1 million studs, which usually means by the end of the level you'll be spending 20 minutes checking every little crevice just to find out that you didn't step over one little flower. It's annoying. The good news though, this might be one of the better million stud bonus levels out there. The Gotham City you see in this level is by no means accurate, but just 3 separate base plates with MIDI builds relevant to Gotham, or buildings you can visit in the actual open world. There's Wayne Tower, the hospital, Gotham Cathedral, among others. The level is designed for you to gain different suits and ergo more abilities, which will allow you to interact with more things in the level. And it's not just Batman and Robin that you play. The surprisingly non-linear design of the level is intriguing while you play. Like, oh, I have no character that can pull orange handles currently. Maybe later in the level I'll see someone? And sure enough, you'll eventually gain access to other characters such as the Penguin and Clark Kent. You even use a telephone booth as Clark Kent to become Superman, which is something unique to this level. You don't use a telephone booth anywhere else in the game, story or not. So it's neat to see something exclusive to the bonus level, which usually doesn't happen in these LEGO games. What's even more interesting is that the free play offers somewhat of a different experience. Since the level intends for you to do certain tasks in a specific order in story mode, having the entire roster at your disposal in free play allows you to do any task you want, assuming you have the whole roster unlocked. Now, I find million stud levels to be boring and even frustrating sometimes. There's even a way to screw your way out of being able to complete this level. I would explain, but it requires explanation of some abilities we haven't seen yet in this series, but it has to do with screwing yourself out of a few thousand studs that you need to complete the level, so yeah, that sucks. Like, I recognize the unique level design, not typically seen in most bonus levels, or honestly, levels in general. But being able to lock yourself out of level completion, if you aren't careful, is just not acceptable. Especially if you spend over 60 minutes on this level, which is entirely plausible. Imagine going crazy spending a half hour trying to find that last 20,000 studs just to realize that you might have screwed yourself over a long time ago and just wasted all of this time. Because that's what I did when playing this level in free play. You know, maybe I gave this level too much credit. Yeah, I made a special little intro for the special suits. How about that? But I mean, it's because they aren't on the roster. But this is the first special suit on the list. Yeah, the worst special suit, but still better than the standard suit, so I'm not going to bash it too hard. The thing about special suits, as you probably know, is that they aren't readily available in the roster. That means that you have to find the suit pad in the open world or in a level to even play as them. And as soon as you switch characters, you can't just switch back. You're going to have to step on a suit pad again. And by the time you might need that special suit again, you might be too far from it in the open world to even bother. Or in the level, you may have moved into a separate area that you can't go back. That's why it's very useful for other characters to have some of the abilities that the special suits have, so you can just use them instead. For example, if you can't find a suit pad for Robin's ice suit, you can just use Captain Cold, since he has 2 of Ice Suit Robin's 3 abilities. Robin's ice suit gives him a warm and cozy white parka and a huge gun. The gun may restrict Robin's movements, but it gives him access to the freeze and ice switch abilities that Captain Cold also has. Now, I definitely prefer Captain Cold's smaller gun for the freeze abilities because it doesn't mess with his running and jumping like it does for Robin. There's an obstacle course in the open world, the one you see before you, which is designed for the ice suit. There are 5 fire hydrants spouting water, and the intent is to freeze the water and use them as platforms to move on to the next section. But the hydrants are deviously spaced. You can only make jumps if you're running, but the clunky movements of Robin and his ice suit throws you off your game. And if you don't have another character with freeze abilities, you can't switch out to another character because you'll eventually have to use the ice switch later. That gold brick was painful, and it's solely the ice suit's fault. Also, even though I prefer Captain Cold for the freeze abilities, I still feel like I should rank Ice Suit higher because you can still use Robin's grapple ability, making Ice Suit Robin more useful overall. Now, this is a weird situation. First of all, it's the Riddler. Yippee, he was the focus of a campaign in the first LEGO Batman game, but he's completely different, physically and mechanically. He has one ability in this game, but it's unique to him, which is why he's so high on the list. Yet, like I said, there's no ability that serves as mind control, so Riddler would probably be left high and dry if it weren't for this unique ability. That ability, my friends, are Riddler boxes. Not sure if that's the official name of the ability, but it sounds about right. Basically, there are these big gift boxes with Riddler's question mark, and only Riddler can interact with them. That's really it. There's no real gameplay involved, you just have to have the right guy to open the thing. This isn't the only character with something like this, but those other characters at least get some other abilities. For the Riddler, this is it. You usually find these Riddler boxes throughout the open world, and these boxes contain red bricks. If you're new to LEGO games, red bricks usually represent the extras. Stud multipliers, invincibility, the works. Riddler boxes account for the unlocking of a few red bricks, though there are other characters who have their own unique abilities to unlock extras too. Those other guys can just do more than open boxes. Other than that though, there's really nothing of note about the Riddler in this game. He has these goblin-like idle animations, which I like. But you know what, that's about it. Man, finally. I've been waiting to talk about this guy. Fun fact, The Flash is my favorite DC superhero. Probably a cold take, I know, but it just amazes me how much they've been able to do for a guy that essentially, for lack of a better phrase, just runs really fast. It's just a shame the CW Flash went on for about 7 seasons too long. And the whole Ezra Miller situation. James Gunn, if you're listening, The Flash needs a redemption for his live action interpretations. But what about The Flash in this game? After playing mainly as Batman and Robin with a little bit of Superman for most of the story, you finally get access to 4 more core Justice League members for the last few levels. The Flash is one of them, but unfortunately this guy barely contributes anything at all. First of all, he can build regular bricks faster, but also he builds at the same rate you would if you had the super build extra on, so it's like half an ability at best. The next one is actually unique to the Flash. I'm calling it Reconstruct, but I'm not sure what the official term for the ability is. It's too rare to be even considered an ability, I think. But if the bricks are sparkling yellow, the Flash can somehow interact with them in a way that no other character can. I remember you having to unlock 1 or 2 vehicle pads in the open world with this special ability that the Flash has. You can also use them to put together some black bricks that a certain other character pulled apart, essentially undoing his work. But there's no real incentive to do this. Not even for studs. So yeah, he shouldn't be this high on the list, but his sparkling yellow brick ability is exclusive despite it being underutilized. At least it can be acknowledged that speedsters as a whole got better treatment in future LEGO DC games. And also, the dude is just fun to play as. Something about his rampant movement on the ground, around these citizens just walking in the middle of the street. I stand by my idea that Gorilla Grodd should have been switched out of the Villains DLC pack for Reverse Flash, just to get another speedster in the roster. Yeah, the super speed in the open world isn't as fast as flying, but it's just entertaining. And is that not what we're trying to achieve in gaming as a whole? Just to have a grand old time. Ice for you to join in on this cool segment covering Mr. Freeze, and no, I'm not sorry for those puns. We covered 2 other cold-based characters, but Mr. Freeze is still the supreme cold character. It feels right. I mean, he was the second best character in the first game, primarily because he was the only guy with the ability to freeze things. Now that there's a few other cold guys that have entered the fold, I still want Mr. Freeze to be holding his own, considering how much of a heavy hitter he was in the first game. They even brought back his iceberg, which was a playable vehicle in the first game. In this game, it's a boat instead of a land vehicle. But his iceberg being here just goes to show his legacy. Maybe I'm being too dramatic about it, but alas, Mr. Freeze is the last ice character that hasn't been covered yet and therefore is the best one. I really hyped him up. Well, all he has that makes him better is his strength ability. That's really it besides that big old gun of his, allowing him to freeze water and use ice switches. Mr. Freeze is also one of the few villains with a cool fight location. There's like this observatory island in the southeast corner of the open world where you fight him. It's a nice change after fighting a ton of villains on boring rooftops to unlock them. You ever see those memes where there's a postulation like your gamer tag is your favorite color plus the thing directly to your right? Well, Green Lantern saw one but for superhero names and got stuck with Green Lantern. Like, I get there's a whole Green Lantern Corps. Hell, there's a Lantern Corps for damn near every color imaginable. But there are a ton of Green Lanterns. Don't you think they would come up with unique names? At least the Earth ones, because Earth seems to be the center of the universe with how many superheroes are concentrated on this one space rock. I don't care if there are names for literally any other Green Lantern, just the Earth ones.
This is Olaf, and this is Olaf, and this is Olaf. This is Olaf. Olaf, 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 and, Olaf. Olaf.
So let me guess. Your name must be...
That's right.
Hal Jordan. There probably is a reason why he has to call himself Green Lantern, and you guys are probably heading to the comments to educate me. But while you do that, allow me to introduce Green Lantern in this game. Green Lantern is only available to play in the last 2 levels in story mode, but his signature ability gets as much mileage as it can. Remember in Sinestro's segment where I said he was gatekept from a certain ability simply for the color of his ring? Well, this is that ability I believe he should have had. Green Lantern is the only character in this game that can take green Lego pieces and make something special. Usually some regular object that is just insanely large. But I don't think it would be too much to ask for Sinestro to have this ability too. I mean, he used to be a Green Lantern before turning to the dark side. Or yellow side. At least this issue was rectified in later LEGO DC games, but to be honest, aside from the 2 levels you play as Green Lantern and a few select places in free play for mini kits, the green Lego ability is kind of thrown to the wayside. You basically never use it in the open world except for these green rockets you can build in the middle of the street. These rockets only give you some studs, but nothing required for 100% completion. Other than green Lego though, Green Lantern can fly, which comes as no surprise. Green Lantern would not be this high on the list at all if it weren't for that exclusive ability of his, but, you know, exclusive abilities are all it takes to rank high in this game. It's another Robin special suit coming up here, and it's actually one that returns from LEGO Batman 1. The magnet suit was too good of a gameplay mechanic to pass up in the sequel. The magnet suit gives Robin 2 new abilities. Well, first, I am obligated to report on his 2 abilities that carry over from the standard Robin suit. Magnet suit Robin can still throw batarangs and use grapples, but that's the boring stuff. Let's go over the semi-new ability. I say semi because it's obviously something we saw in the first game. Robin, when wearing the magnet suit, can climb up magnetic walls. The look of the wall you can climb changed a bit between games. In the last game, it looks like a cheap vent. This game, it's a much more distinguishable, shiny blue wall. I think I prefer LEGO Batman 1's magnet wall for nostalgia, and it actually looks like something you'd see in those environments. They look like, vents, or, something. But let's be honest. I know this is a fictional universe, but what kind of purpose does this shiny blue wall serve? Maybe gas pipes? But newsflash, gas pipes are combustible, which is why they typically bury them underground. Exposing them on the sides of buildings is very dangerous. Anyway, Magnet Suit Robin can interact with blue bricks, same color as those climbable walls, that may or may not be a critical hazard. Robin pulls out this big magnet and can cause these blue bricks to move around. They can be locks, suit pad covers, maybe you have to pull around the blue ball. This ability is actually pretty versatile, and the devs made good use of it throughout story mode and beyond. And just like that, we're seeing the first of the Batman special suits. This is an interesting one because it seems that this is a combination of 2 different Batman special suits from the first game. You might remember the Sonic Batman suit from the first game, the all blue one. You may also remember the Glide suit from the first game, the one with the large wings. Well, Batman's unexcitingly and redundantly named suit, the Bat suit, combines the best qualities of these 2 suits. First of all, he glides now? He glides now. That's stupid. Cut that. He has all new retractable wings, but not really new, since I said this is carried over from the first game. I believe Glide is new to this series, but it works the exact same way as the first game. You go to jump, and you hold down the button, and you can travel over a good amount of distance in the air. Unlike Killer Moth and Man-Bat, Batsuit Batman didn't get the upgrade to flight, which makes sense, so no harm done. This suit gets the sonar ability that the Sonic Batman had in the first game. Sidebar, they named him Sonic Batman because he looks like Sonic the Hedgehog if you squint really hard. But that's neither here nor there. The Batsuit gets a sonic gun to either emit a noise or to shoot noise balls. One other little Sonic trait that those with the Sonic ability have is by pressing the action button once without holding down. And you can shoot your Sonic gun or mouth or whatever to the ground and it emits a huge burst of glass shattering noise, and it can burst a larger radius of glass. Useful for the rare case of a glass panel at a different elevation than you. I'll be honest, it took me way too long to discover that big burst trick, because there's this one particularly nasty obstacle course in the open world with 2 glass panels a few feet higher than you. I think when I first played the game, I found just the right spot to somehow use the sonic stream to get those higher glass panels. And by the way, the obstacle course wasn't nasty. I lied. It was just that one specific location that peeved me for a solid 2 minutes. Just like the Batsuit Batman, the Penguin also didn't get the upgrade from Glide to Flight in this game. Yeah, Killer Moth and Man-Bat upgraded to the newest iPhone in whatever year you're watching this, and these guys still somehow use an iPhone 7. I jest, of course, for 2 reasons. 1, it makes sense for an umbrella to not fly, what? And 2, I'm an Android user, so I kinda just chose a random old iPhone and hope it makes sense. If you need to unsubscribe after my coming out of being an Android user, then so be it. But Penguin was the main villain of the second campaign in the first game, and how is he doing here? Not great. The Penguin was greatly minimized in this game, really only seen in the background. The fight with the Penguin to unlock him was in a cool location though, inside of this huge globe over the Gotham Zoo. So, I mean, that was cool, I'll give him that. He was also used in the bonus level, so that's also something. The Penguin can get some mileage and usage if you so desire. His glide can be used in the open world obstacle courses, even though you could just as easily fly over the gap. Even though characters with flight are the best way to travel overall, glide is still better at mid-air control. You just descend at a constant rate while moving forward, covering a decent distance in the air. But that umbrella isn't just good for wannabe flying, it's also a wannabe gun. It shoots bullets with its target ability. Finally, the Penguin's Penguin Minion explosive makes a return. There aren't those tiny little doorways specifically for them like in the first game, except for maybe in the bonus level, but not used anywhere else. But that explosive ability is weirdly rare in this game. Of course, the explosive ability is being able to destroy silver Lego bricks. Usually there are at least a couple of characters with the explosive ability in these Lego superhero games, but there are just 2 characters that can do it in this game. And how it works for each character even is not the same. But we'll talk about it when we get there. The Penguin's method of explosion are those little penguins of his. You can encounter them as enemies in the open world, but they aren't unlockable. You'd have seen them by now if they were. But at least you can control the guy who lets them run to their fiery demise. Hey, yet another Suicide Squatter. Killer Croc has never been featured in live action aside from the 2016 Suicide Squad movie, and it's because of that movie that we probably won't get live action Croc for at least a little while more. Killer Croc wasn't even really an issue in the movie considering other shocking performances, but there's definitely a reason why they cut a majority of the team in the James Gunn Suicide Squad movie, Killer Croc included. In LEGO Batman 2 though, Killer Croc was one of the several villains that did not change appearance at all between games. But hey, in the 2 LEGO DC games after this, Killer Croc went big fig. So, a small Croc in this game is welcome. Killer Croc has 2 new abilities to the series, but 3 total. The ability we've seen before is Strength, which is carried over from the first game. His next 2 abilities are also carried over from the first game, but, they're new. You haven't seen them before in this series. The first is Toxin Immunity. Nothing too crazy, Killer Croc just doesn't lose health when walking over toxic gunk. The last ability of this green guy is Dive. Killer Croc sinks to the bottom of pools, being able to interact with the objects on the pool bottom. Doesn't work in the open world though. Quick note, Gotham City in this game is an island. There's no bridges, no airports, you're basically stranded. But if anyone could get off this Alcatraz-esque hellscape, it would be Killer Croc. Because, he's a crocodile, he can swim. But no, something in the lake water takes away Killer Croc's ability to swim and breathe underwater. There's truly no way out. I pity the souls stuck in this purgatory. Okay, everyone, point and laugh. Look at that funny run. His big ol' head is making him wobble. But, okay, we all got it out. Black Manta was a DLC character in the Villains pack. And listen, I'm not opposed to him being in this pack. But Aquaman wasn't one of the Justice League members that pulled up at the end of the story to help Batman. Wonder Woman and Cyborg didn't even get a villain of theirs in the roster. Well, Cyborg doesn't have a main villain at all, but I feel like Wonder Woman's Cheetah, maybe, would have fit well in this game. That being said, Black Manta is still good with me. Black Manta is different enough from the other characters to have a unique moveset. First, the dude grants you better accessibility with the dive ability, being able to sink underwater. Next, his strength ability is always a welcome addition. You can't go wrong with that. Finally, his third and also new ability is Laser. You guys probably know what that is, even if you haven't played LEGO Batman 2. They love to have this ability in LEGO superhero games. It's so easy to implement. Black Manta can shoot lasers from his helmet, carving shapes in gold LEGO walls and blowing them up.
Overall, I'd say that he deserves his spot in the DLC.
Although I suggested Cheetah, she'd probably just be a Catwoman reskin. There's no other character with Black Manta's exact moveset, which makes him more unique than most. The open world, a feature of video games as a whole that have become very prevalent in the past decade. Maybe too prevalent to some, but not to me. I love open worlds. Something about exploring the land, unlocking secrets, doing quests, the whole 9 yards. And guess what? Open worlds have become commonplace for LEGO games, and it all started with LEGO Batman 2. This game was the first to feature an open world, Gotham City. Sure, it's covered with those ugly blue and white checkered acrobatic walls, but I'd say this is a very solid first stab at an explorable environment by TT Games. It's by no means their best open world, but it did a good job at encapsulating the dark and dreary vibe that we expect from this fictional city. Gotham, in reality, was based off of Chicago in the United States, which, first of all, sorry Chicago that you inspired the most crime-ridden city in all of fictional media, Gotham, especially considering that shiny and clean metropolis was based off of New York. Someone over at DC Comics was biased, but, you know, whatever. Does LEGO Batman 2's take on Gotham seem anything like Chicago? As someone who has been there, I would say not. First, Chicago isn't on an island with no means of escape. Sure, Gotham has a park, skyscrapers, and a subway just like Chicago, but that can also be said for every real-life city, so it's kind of a moot point. Chicago's roads are definitely not barren and riddled with totaled cars like there are in this game. LEGO Batman 2's Gotham also has a ton of NPCs just walking around, like way too many. But what is the point of all these roads if literally no vehicles are using it and everyone is walking? Like, I appreciate walkable cities as much as the next guy, but it seems a little suspicious that the only cars you see on the road are crashed ones. Maybe there's a villain that targets moving vehicles and everyone learned to adapt by just walking all the time? I mean, that seems like a petty villain that's right up Batman's alley. But then again, why hasn't Batman caught him yet? This open world also makes sure to include all the staple locations you expect to see. Up north, there's Wayne Manor with the Batcave underneath, where you can spawn vehicles. Down south, there's Wayne Tower that towers over everything else in the city. And in between, you got Ace Chemicals, Gotham Hospital, Gotham City Hall, Gotham Power Plant. There's an amusement park far, far north, a botanical garden, Arkham Asylum out on its own island. There's more I haven't mentioned, but the last thing I want to talk about are these giant statues. All over the open world, there are these statues of regular minifigures. My main complaint with the open world is that they overdid it with these statue guys. They are everywhere. They're holding up buildings, holding up pipes that run throughout the city. This one is dabbing. I thought this one was peeing until I realized his face was pointed the other way. Do I even want to know what's happening here? I want to know the name of the mayor of Gotham who approved these statues that are all over the city. Or maybe just the name of the developer who got the idea. That'll suffice. Another special suit coming at you here, and it's actually a returning one from the first LEGO Batman game. Well, kind of. The first game had a suit that was similar but named differently and had a different function. In the first game, it was the Attract suit. You collect debris and deposit it into a machine, which will make something. This game, it's the Hazard suit, and you spray water or colored goop based on the puzzle. Okay, they're nothing alike in name or function, but look. I think the Hazard suit was at least somewhat inspired by the first game's Attract suit. Please, just let me have this. But the Hazard suit has somewhat of an exclusive ability. First, let's go over the repeats. With this being the Hazard suit, you can bet that toxic gunk would be no threat to this guy. Next, his hefty suit sinks him to the bottom of pools with the dive ability. And being a Robin, he can grapple. But his next and final thing, and half-exclusive thing, is something he sacrificed the Batarangs for. That hazard cannon of his, though, yeah, that's a whole mechanic in this game. Frequently, you'll have to wash away toxic goop with water, and Hazard Suit Robin can do that. However, he can only hold so much water in the tank on his back. If he runs out, you'll have to find a source of water to refill. Conveniently, a little kiddie pool of water is usually near the place you're expected to clean up. But water isn't the only thing that can fill up that tank. There's another common puzzle seen in both story levels and the open world where you have to fill up certain tanks with a certain colored paint. The tanks will be colored the same as the paint they need, and only the hazard suit can fill it. Like I hinted earlier, the hazard cannon is half exclusive. I say that because it depends on what you're shooting out of it. If you're shooting water, yeah, someone else can do that. We just haven't gotten to them yet. But the paint, only hazard suit Robin can do that. And as we all know, exclusive abilities get characters big boosts in the ranking. For puzzles involving paint tanks, you need to find a hazard suit pad around, or else you aren't getting that collectible. Batman's electricity suit is a new one that wasn't in the last game, and I feel like this one is more feasible than the ones it replaced. I mean, I'm sure a heat-resistant bat suit can be supplied by Lucius Fox or whatever, but Batman would never opt for a red suit. It's too noticeable and it can't be used to blend in any environment. Maybe, I don't know, a volcano, but how often do you see one of those in Gotham? An electricity-resistant suit, though, is not only something Batman would request to be made, but the suit you see before you can still blend in dark environments. That is, when you aren't transmitting electricity, which segues me into the main gimmick of the suit. The electricity suit's main thing is taking electricity from one source and plugging it into another. There are these terminals that either have electricity spewing from it, or maybe they don't. If it does, you can approach it with the electricity suit and take the power out of the terminal. When that happens, the electricity will be spewing from Batman himself. Then, you can take the electricity overloaded Batman to a similar terminal without power and insert the electricity into it. This will power whatever it's attached to and will open up something, or maybe give you a collectible, whatever. The only downside is that with this suit, you can only transfer power from one place to another. You can't generate it yourself like we see with a certain other character we have yet to see. With this being the electricity suit, naturally this suit is immune to electricity, and it should be noted that this is the only character in the base game that has immunity to electricity. Finally, as I'm contractually obligated to say, electricity suit Batman has the grapple and batarang abilities. Not to bombard you with these 3 special suits in a row, that's just how it shook out in the rankings. What I do mean to bombard you with is the explosive-like qualities of our next suit here, the power suit of Batman. This suit was not messing around. Unusually swole for Batman, but is still second to the Dark Knight Returns Batman from the LEGO Batman 3 DLC. The power suit is one of 2 characters in this game to be able to blow up silver Lego, with the other being the Penguin. What's interesting though is that their explosives work differently. With the Penguin, he had his minions. Yeah, they get the job done, but they can only hit silver Lego at ground level, which works most of the time, but there are those rare moments where the silver Lego is above you. That's where the power suit comes in, which can target silver Lego and shoot projectile missiles. Yeah, the power suit Batman can't use batarangs, but the explosives you target instead is a more than apt replacement, seeing as it's the only thing in the game that can explode silver Lego at different elevations. But that's not even it. The whole reason why it's called the power suit isn't because of the explosives, it's because of the strength ability that he has. It feels a little weird that he has it considering how common the ability is with the rest of the roster, but I by no means mean that as a complaint. Finally, you already know what I have to say. He has grapple, the standard Batman thing to complement the 2 other things. Now we get to the true heavy hitters. And I mean, there's only 16 characters after this, but it feels like we're just getting started. Them's the curse of small rosters though, I guess. Wonder Woman is one of the main 3 of the Justice League though, so her spot in the roster is definitely deserved. Just like all other Justice League members aside from Batman and Superman, she kinda got thrown to the wayside. She's only playable in the last level of the campaign, which also happens to be the extremely short level where you just fight the Joker bot's face. Literally the entire level, it's just the Joker bot just all broken down. Evidently though, she's still a good character regardless, seeing as she's number 17. Firstly, she has flight, and before you ask, she doesn't use her invisible jet to do so. but you can unlock a mini build of the Invisible Jet through collecting mini-kits. Another bonus to her is that she has invincibility, which will come to be a common trait among these high-ranking characters. She also has Boomerang. I'm not sure what's being boomeranged here. I think it's her tiara, but it just looks like a tacky Wonder Woman themed boomerang. Additionally, she can pull hooks off with her Lasso of Truth, giving her the grapple ability. And then finally, she has strength. I'm not gonna lie, I understand that she has a lot of abilities, and the developers made sure to incorporate a lot of her traits to give her these abilities. You know, Lasso of Truth for grapple, the tiara for boomerang, but at the end of the day, these abilities are pretty common, you know? But I'm not going to lie, these boring abilities that she has are still heavily used in the game, so maybe it's not necessary to complain. You guys know the time-old tale of LEGO games, something we've seen time and time again. Dark Force in LEGO Star Wars, Dark Magic in LEGO Harry Potter, and then straight up Sword Magic in LEGO Pirates of the Caribbean. Well, it's no different here with one of the main antagonists of this game, Lex Luthor. Lexi here has one singular ability, but it's exclusive to him, and you use this ability more than almost any other in the game, especially for collectibles. It's called Deconstruct. Lex champions this state-of-the-art Deconstructor gun, which disassembles anything black. Conveniently, black is Batman's main color, which is part of the reason why he teamed up with Superman in the first place. When you unlock Lex Luthor in the roster, you come to find that he's always carrying this gun, which I guess isn't a bad thing. It's just that you wouldn't expect a conniving genius billionaire to be carrying this big weapon. He's definitely hired some guy to carry it and shoot it for him.
You could say a goon. What? A goon could carry his gun for him. A goon, like in Lego Batman 2. Okay, just get out of here.
At least his slam down attack using the gun looks cool. But yeah, this Deconstructor gun can take apart sparkling black pieces you see in levels and in the open world. They are definitely used a lot, so if you're trying to complete this game as fast as possible, I'd suggest focusing on finding Lex Luthor's boss fight in the open world and unlocking him as soon as you get the funds. I partially feel as though Lex Luthor should be higher based on how often you use this exclusive ability, but then I thought about other games. Blackbeard, spoilers for my LEGO Pirates series, was at the top of the list, mostly for his unique ability that no one else had, and that you used his power a ton, but also he had more to offer. He had a sword, he could target, and he was frickin' strong. Lex Luthor, other than his exclusive evil ability, has nothing. And no, putting on a toupee as an idle animation does not count, as much as I wanted to. Sorry, Arthur, you didn't get invited to the Gotham get-together in this game, but don't worry, you'll get a spot on the roster out of pity. Aquaman was one of the founding members of the Justice League, but let's be real. What is the Fishman gonna do in a burning skyscraper or against a giant Joker robot? I suppose Martian Manhunter made the right call in not contacting him. But man, Aquaman, is your journey in the decade after this game's release an exciting one. They decided to go for campy Aquaman in this game as opposed to the grisly Aquaman we've seen with Jason Momoa, or maybe the GameCube game Aquaman, just, badass Aquaman. And I think it's the right call to go campy for this guy in this game specifically. There's already so much drab scenery all throughout the levels and open world. A few more bright colors would be welcome. And hey, at least he got a villain of his in the villain DLC. Aquaman, though, is a little special. First, him being a resident of Atlantis gives him the abilities of dive and strength. And before you ask, no, not even he can escape the Gotham prison island. His third ability is semi-exclusive. Remember with the hazard suit, I mentioned that water can be wielded by one other character? Here that character is. Aquaman's water jet via trident comes in clutch a lot. There is a lot of Joker graffiti splattered around the game, and Aquaman can wash those away without needing a pool of water. You have unlimited water ammo, so you don't have to worry about conserving or filling up like you do with the hazard suit. But as the only character wielding such an unusual weapon, it's nice to see these fighting animations that aren't used with any other character. The Justice League is known to have 7 founding members of the team. You got Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, The Flash, redacted for 2 more segments, and finally, the 7th member. Well, it depends who you ask. If you ask the guys who developed this game, they'd say Cyborg. We know this because Cyborg was the one chosen to help out Batman near the end of the game. And honestly, bless Aquaman and his water jet, but Cyborg's ability set is pretty solid. First of all, this is the first official LEGO Cyborg we've ever seen. We've never officially seen this version of Cyborg in physical form, but the first physical Cyborg we did see was a clear improvement. Cyborg's whole thing is that his robot body gives him access to a nigh unlimited toolset. Thankfully for him, a lot of that can be translated into abilities in this game. Cyborg, being half a hunk of metal, allows him to interact with blue objects with the magnet ability. Coincidentally, him being a hunk of metal also makes him part tank, so he can easily pull those orange handles with strength. And thirdly, take a good look at that eye of his, or lack of one. And it instead is a laser tool to shape down gold metal walls and bust gold pieces. So yeah, those three abilities are used a ton everywhere. So he's a solid choice for when you need a few different abilities in succession. Here he is at unlucky number 13, it's the Joker. The main villain of the game, tricking Lex into financing his giant Joker bot that you deal with for an uncomfortable amount of levels. Now, the Joker being so high on the list should clue you in that he's worth playing. And you would be correct. The Joker has about 1.5 abilities that are exclusive. I'll save the half for last. The two abilities we've seen before that Joker has is Toxin Immunity and Target with his Tommy gun. If you played the first game, this isn't new. What is new are the Joker boxes. These operate the same as Riddler boxes, but the boxes are Joker themed this time around. They're used the same way as the Riddler boxes too, as a means to gain red bricks and select mini kits. They're just as boring too. The final ability is the half-exclusive one, and it has to do with electricity. You may remember the electricity suit of Batman, and how he can only give a terminal electricity if he gets it from somewhere else. Well, the Joker cuts out the middleman. The Joker can power down and juice up any terminal without having to collect the electricity from a separate terminal. However, the trade-off is that the Joker isn't immune to electricity like the electricity suit is. Objectively, Joker's electricity is preferable to the electricity suit's electricity ability. Sure, you aren't immune to electricity as the Joker, but the electricity fields that you may need to traverse through aren't prevalent enough to discount the advantage of being able to charge up anything anytime. Also, depending on where you are, you can probably fly over the electricity fields with another character anyway. Alright, we can unredact that statement I made in the Cyborg segment. This is the 7th founding member of the Justice League, and he's low-key the GOAT of the founding members too. This guy commits his entire life to the Watchtower and the team. To be fair, I don't think he has much interest in Earth society in any capacity anyway, but his dedication to their safety is admirable. Martian Manhunter made a quick cameo in the story as the guy who assembles the Justice League in the last few levels of the game, but he doesn't show up himself. Martian Manhunter is pretty useful in this game, as 2 of his abilities are also extras. The guy has super build and invincibility right out of the gate, no extra required. However, Martian Manhunter is still invulnerable to fire, which, listen, it's cool that he's invulnerable to it, but if you don't know, Martian Manhunter has an inherent fear of fire. It's a pretty well-known weakness among DC fans. The developers should have made an exception with Martian Manhunter's invincibility and made it so he can't get too close to fire without shying away or something. Because why am I able to have Martian Manhunter stand right on a fire and have it engulf him with no sign of any harm? It might be a petty complaint, but that just doesn't sit well with me. Other than that, Martian Manhunter has flight, laser, and strength. A pretty cool ability lineup that makes up for his inaccurate portrayal. Brainiac's presence in this game irks me. It truly feels like he shouldn't be here. Let me explain. Brainiac, surprisingly, actually appears in the story, in the very end. After the heroes stand together and have their corny group laugh, the perspective zooms out to Brainiac, who has just discovered Earth. This is to tease LEGO Batman 3 Beyond Gotham, where he is going to be the next main antagonist. So why did they make him an unlockable character through an open world boss fight? It kind of makes him look incompetent, the way you beat him down in the middle of Gotham Park. How am I supposed to think he's intimidating? I know it's just a Lego game, but still. They also give him a tacky UFO as an unlockable vehicle. Way to go, TT Games, you've successfully dampened any hype towards him being the next main baddie in LEGO Batman 3. But, all that aside, this guy's pretty useful overall. He is the most optimized specimen, so he says, so it makes sense. The guy flies, he magnets, he's swole, and to top it all off, he has invincibility. No extra needed. The guy just can't get hurt. He doesn't have anything strictly exclusive, but he's similar to Cyborg in that he covers a lot of ground with the abilities that he has. You probably can get a lot of collectibles just from switching between these two guys alone. We've finally reached the final part of this series. Only 10 characters remain in this roster to be discussed, and they are the cream of the crop. But what is the point of discussing the characters without thoroughly discussing the quality of the game? The game scored pretty well among critics, scoring a 79 Metascore and an 8.1 on IMDb, and a 8.5 on IGN, which is not surprising at all. With every LEGO game up till a few years ago, they were predictable in the best way. You know what to expect when buying a LEGO game. Sure, the voice acting introduced in this game rocked the boat for many people, but you still had the story levels filled with puzzles, a character grid that you slowly unlocked one by one to completion, and many a collectible. The pitfalls of this game, well, I think you probably have a good idea based on some of the topics I've discussed during the series. The abysmal story that leads to levels shorter than the standard that you see in LEGO games. The way they handled suits in free play could have been better. The suits in free play in LEGO Batman 1 were fine enough, but to only be able to switch suits if the applicable suit pad was in your vicinity in this game, that was lame. The open world, fine as it was dark and rainy, which makes sense for Gotham, but it gets a little, you get used to the sight, and the time of day is always at dawn or dusk. Actually, the sun is on the horizon to the north, which doesn't make sense. Listen, I have a lot of nostalgia for LEGO games, but these are my games. These are the games I played whenever I was inside before going outside to touch grass. Then in 2011, computers became commonplace in homes and my brain has been rotting ever since. All that to say, LEGO Batman 2 came out during a time when I was expanding my gaming horizons. I played it a little bit, but I didn't fully complete it until years later. So the nostalgia goggles weren't really something I was wearing when revisiting this game for this ranking. I experienced a more objective playthrough of the game, and I wasn't all too impressed. I haven't played LEGO Batman 3 in a while, but I'm comfortable with calling LEGO Batman 2 the weakest of all LEGO DC games. But with that said, it's still worth a playthrough. It's clear that in the comments of these videos, which I read all by the way, that a lot of you guys enjoyed this game, and you might have not clicked on this video period if you didn't like it. So enjoy what you want to enjoy, I guess. Don't let my opinion waver you. But, you know, thanks for watching, and let's get a crack-a-lackin' at the final 10 and best characters from LEGO Batman 2. Let's start off this top 10 with the final Batman suit in the game. The Sensor suit is probably the least used suit in this game, but that's mostly due to his exclusive abilities that aren't really used all that often. Firstly, I love the suit. It's probably my favorite in terms of design. The Bat suit and the Electricity suit don't really vary much from the standard suit, and the Power suit just looks a little too round for my taste. But the Sensor suit has this dark green color to match the abilities I will soon reveal to you. And the goggles are great too. They emit this red light that, when pointed at an NPC, shows them to be a skeleton. This weird little thing with the goggles is only seen with the Sensor suit Batman, and it's always a hoot when a small thing like that is reserved for one character. Not even a character, a suit of a character. The fact that he can see through people leads me to the introduction of not one, but two new abilities, and one of them is exclusive to this here Batman suit. First, the not exclusive one, X-Ray. Whenever you see these green walls, characters with X-Ray can look through them. You can't see the entire wall at once, but you have to move around a circle to see the full extent of the wall in question. Usually these puzzles involve looking in the wall to find and pull handles, nothing too crazy. The next ability could be considered crazy because this ability is seen only with the Sensor suit, and it's not like you can switch to the Sensor suit whenever you want. The game has to supply you with a suit pad to use this ability seen with no one else. It's called Stealth. Now, if you watched all 6 hours, 17 minutes, and 6 seconds of my LEGO Avengers ranking, oh my god, I forgot I did that. Stealth isn't new. Frankly, in that game, it's the bottom of the barrel. You push a button, and you turn invisible. You do this to bypass security cameras. It's crazy that such a mundane ability in one LEGO game is enough to bump a character to the top 10 in another. And this suit isn't even technically a character. It's the extension of another character. Oh, and to cool us down a bit, the sensor suit retains its grapple and batarang abilities. Well, if it isn't the best character of LEGO Batman the video game. She dropped a little bit, but still barely making the top 10. But, I mean, that still isn't as big of a drop as number 2, Mr. Freeze. First of all, the new design for Poison Ivy is an insane improvement, being based on the 2012 line of LEGO sets. In the previous game, let's just say she wasn't a looker. While Mr. Freeze had to share his exclusive ability in the sequel, Poison Ivy gets to keep one ability exclusive. Sure, it's not the same exact ability this time, but it's still exclusive nonetheless. In the first game, she could make plants grow to be used as platforms or something similar. In this game, she instead has the flower bed ability. All this is just being able to pass through a flower-shaped portal to another area. If you recall the coral ability from LEGO Pirates of the Caribbean, flower bed is a reskin of that ability. But in this game, Poison Ivy has it exclusively as opposed to what seemed like half the roster in LEGO Pirates. As for other abilities, Poison Ivy has toxin immunity and agility. Nothing too spectacular. The flower bed ability definitely carries her value. Finally, I just want to mention her goons real quick. I've briefly mentioned them before, but I truly feel like her goons are the most unique out of all the ones you can encounter in the open world. Instead of just guys with jackets and crook hats, they are actual plant-based abominations. It's a shame that these guys aren't unlockable characters in the roster. I mean, yeah, they'd be at the bottom along with all the other goons, but at least they're more worthy than the Riddler or Two-Face goons based on appearance alone. Not only is this the last Robin special suit in this game, but it's also the last special suit period. And as this is an end to one of the most prevalent mechanics in all of LEGO Batman 2, I'd like to take this moment to reflect. Now, special suits was a mechanic carried over from this game's predecessor with some major tweaks, as I've discussed previously in the series. Namely, the fact that you don't really get to choose when you get to play as the special suits. The game basically said, yeah, we'll allow you to play as this special suit in this area, but this area only. As opposed to the first game, where you can just switch to any suit you want, assuming you're playing in free play. In the end, I far prefer LEGO Batman 1's take on the special suits. Sure, you can argue that you don't necessarily have a reason to be in a special suit if the ability it has isn't needed in the area that you're in, but if I want to fight enemies as Chonky Batman, then let me, damn it. But let's talk about the magnum opus of special suits in LEGO Batman 2. Robin's acrobatic suit. To be completely honest, this suit is only up this high for that hamster ball of his. Apparently, the name for this thing is the Zorb Ball, which are those balls of air that you can get inside and roll around in. But I'd say this is a bit too complicated to be labeled as a Zorb Ball. Robin forms the ball around him using the baton that he gains when he's switching to this suit, which is exactly the type of technology the government would keep secret from us. The Zorb Ball, however, is used a ridiculous amount in the open world. The Zorb Ball is specially made for these square platforms with these rollers. When you roll onto it, you lock in and are able to control something. Sometimes it happens in story mode, but it mostly happens in the open world collectible hunting. If there's Acrobat Robin around, chances are he will be using those platforms to open a triangular container holding a gold brick. Other than that, Robin gains the agility ability and can throw his baton at a peg to be used as something to swing off of. And also, he of course has the same abilities as all other Batman and Robin variants have. But it's really the Zorb Ball that rolled the Acrobat suit all the way to number 8. Oh, who's that? Is it a bird? Is it a plane? Is it a Superman? No, it can't be. Superman doesn't wear glasses. No, this is Clark Kent, who has no business being in Gotham as a Daily Planet journalist. All jokes aside, Clark Kent was unlockable in the open world, but I don't think I mentioned it before, but there are these host of characters that were unlocked in the open world if you've obtained enough gold bricks. These characters would pop out of these golden door frames that you build to be available for purchase. Now, a lot of these frames were placed in weird places, mostly on rooftops and very rarely on ground level. I think they wanted these door frames to be somewhat hard to find because they would stick out like a sore thumb in the open world. Like Commissioner Gordon's door was at ground level, and it's shocking that no petty criminal stripped that door of all of its valuable material, as they should. But Clark Kent was behind one of these doors, though you play as him in the bonus level. Like I said, you enter into a telephone booth as Clark Kent and come out as Superman, which is a detail I think I appreciate a little more than I should. As for abilities, I'm not actually going to go over them. I say that because there are 4 characters we haven't seen yet that all have the same abilities that Clark Kent has plus 1 more. But I'll tell you what Clark Kent is lacking compared to those guys. Flight. Clark Kent can't fly. Why? Well, I guess Clark Kent would worry that his identity would be revealed if he starts flying, but heat vision is okay? Okay. Alright guys, I know I don't have that much internet clout. I'm kind of a guy who's known for hating a goddamn gonk droid, but I have a request to make. We need to start a petition. Do something to get Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson to play this game. We have to make sure he gets the DLC installed on his copy of the game, and we get him to play the 6th best character in LEGO Batman 2, Black Adam. I would like him to explain why Black Adam is the goodest guy to ever exist in the DC universe, because that's what he seems to claim in the Black Adam movie. But yes, Black Adam is a character from the villain DLC pack, and I'm overall glad they recognized Black Adam as one of DC's most unique villains. Black Adam is a guy who was bestowed Shazam powers and misused them. So electricity-based powers make more than perfect sense for Black Adam, and we see some of that in this game. For starters, Black Adam has flight and strength, not electricity-based powers, but, you know, if you look at him for 2 seconds, you can garner that he probably would have those abilities. He also adopts some extras as abilities, like invulnerability and super build. And finally, the electricity-based ones. Black Adam can shoot a stream of electricity out of his chest? Okay, that's a little weird, but we'll go with it. This stream is able to function as the laser ability. There's also electricity immunity and... Is that it? No way. No, okay, this is not okay. I just can't believe... that he can't use electricity terminals. Hey, what happened? Are we in Shazam's segment? Do you mean to tell me that Shazam and Black Adam are identical in abilities, so it makes sense to just merge their rankings together, but they need to be separated because of the rules I set for myself at the start of the series? Okay, well, I guess that's fine. Just give me a heads up next time. But yeah, Shazam and Black Adam can't use electricity terminals. What? This ability seems made for them, as the only characters in the game whose power sets are strictly electricity based. Hey, maybe the Joker can just give these guys a handshake and just absorb all of their electricity power out of them. Honestly, I think the developers just simply forgot. It was clear that these DLC packs were just a rushed, half-assed pre-order bonus, so forgetfulness has a pretty good chance of playing a role here. But this is Shazam. You know him, the guy Dwayne Johnson refused to appear in a movie with, even though that's his arch nemesis. But I think it's clear to say that Zachary Levi's Shazam is more enjoyable than The Rock's Black Adam. That's honestly why I ranked Shazam higher, and for no other reason. Oh, and just to reiterate, Shazam has everything Black Adam has, up to the arc reactor-esque electricity beam. Okay, I'm just going to break down how these final 4 segments are going to go. In my LEGO Avengers series, when there are 9 or so different Captain Americas, I'd space out his entire ability set over the course of several segments, just so I'm not repeating the same 6 abilities for each of the 9 Captain Americas. That's just an example though, as I had to do that with basically any character with more than one variant in that game. That hasn't really been an issue for this series, except for these final 4. It's really unfortunate that I have to space out abilities like that for the 4 best characters in the series. This really is just telling you that there's little variety among the top few characters. Like in LEGO Pirates of the Caribbean, the top 3 were Cursed Jack, Davy Jones, and Blackbeard. Spoilers, by the way. But they all have unique abilities separate from each other. But in LEGO Batman 2, all the top characters are basically interchangeable based on whoever you prefer. The least favorable out of these is General Zod. To me, at least. He was unlocked through the open world boss fights, and similar to Brainiac, why is General Zod here in Gotham? He seems too powerful of a villain to just be chilling on a rooftop waiting for your fisticuffs. I'll never say that again. But I think General Zod is better suited to be in the DLC. Maybe someone like Captain Cold would be more suitable for this environment. You know, just Gotham. I don't know. This game is a decade old. Zack Snyder thinks this guy's Doomsday. Let's just move on. I'll talk about abilities in the next segment. Here's the final DLC character we haven't covered yet, Bizarro. What to say, what to say. There was no means of unlocking him, besides either forking over 5 bones USD or, you know, the other way. So this dude is essentially pay to win. What also might be construed as pay to win is the fact that Bizarro has the super build and invincibility abilities without requiring the extra. So if you're dead set on being a fast building invincible person without having to find and purchase the extras, these last 4 characters are your people, or minifigures. But Bizarro is the result of Joker briefly having the powers of, I'm not even going to attempt that. So since the Joker is Bizarro's father in a way, maybe you can somewhat rationalize putting this guy in the DLC. Or, you know, he's one of Superman's most recognizable villains anyway. These segments are flying by, mostly because there's only so much game-related discussion that can be stretched across 4 identical characters. But I got a bone to pick with this one, and it is game-related. Supergirl is the last character to be made available for purchase in this game. Now, there are 250 gold bricks to collect in this game. How many do you need to be able to build her golden door to unlock her? What do you think the answer to that question is? Yes, you need all 250 gold bricks to unlock her. You actually need to 100% complete the game before you can play as Supergirl. And to that I ask, say it with me, what's the point? If you already had done everything besides unlock her, then that just leaves you with nothing to do. I guess you can fly around, beat up some goons, maybe hit up the amusement park. Basically just the footage that you see in these videos is what you can do, which is nothing. Trust me, I'd know. I had to record footage for every last character, post 100% completion. All incentive to do anything in this game is lost. Yeah, thanks for a great character to play. I could have used her back when I was collectible hunting hours ago. Whatever, congrats Supergirl. The next 3 abilities I'll cover are some powers that Superman has, but aren't necessarily the ones that people remember him having. The first being heat vision. All of these top 4 characters can interact with gold Lego, and they have the freeze ability. It's pretty neat that this ice breath is exclusive to these Kryptonians, and I mean, close enough. They operate the same as, say, Mr. Freeze's ice cannon, just quicker. Robin's ice suit and Mr. Freeze's mobility is a little more restricted in their equipment, but the Kryptonians, and close enough, get the ice breath going almost immediately. But they don't have ice switch, which makes sense. Finally, these guys have X-ray, which operates the same as Batman's sensor suit. They just don't see people's skeletons all the time. Lame alert. Lame alert. Lame alert. Oh, hey, sorry guys. I didn't mean to leave my lame alert going. What segment are we on again? Oh, the final one. And it's Superman. A character you play in story mode a decent amount is at the #1 spot. And this is the best character in the game. Yeah, let's keep this lame alert ringing for just a while longer. All jokes, but who is surprised? This is the definitive Deus Ex Machina. All he does is show up and save everyone from despair every time. Now, he has a weakness to kryptonite, which isn't incorporated in the gameplay at all, so he's basically unstoppable in this game, as are Supergirl, Bizarro, and General Zod. As for the Batman vs. Superman debate, it's clear who the developers would think would win in a fight between Superman and Batman, and the game's name is LEGO Batman 2, not LEGO Superman 1. The final two abilities of these Kryptonians, and him too, is flight and strength. Not at all surprising. In fact, Superman's theme plays every time you fly as him, which I guess sets him apart from the last three characters, but if anything, I'm not a fan of it. Open world Gotham mostly has you hearing just ambient night sounds, and the sudden switch to the triumphant John Williams theme is jarring, but who am I to complain about immersion in a LEGO game? So just to recap, Superman, Supergirl, Bizarro, and General Zod all have the exact same ability set. To be honest, they could all be rearranged in ranking based on who you like the most, but they are undoubtedly better than all other characters based on the following 7 abilities that they have: flight, laser, freeze, strength, x-ray, invulnerability, and super build. I feel iffy to call Superman the undisputed best, as his fellow Kryptonians and whatever the hell Bizarro is are mechanically identical. But you know what? Someone has to reign as the best character in LEGO Batman 2, and Superman is as good as any, so long as we start sounding the lame alert. Lane alert. Lane alert. Lane alert. There you have it. Another LEGO game ranked. A small roster, but I'd say it makes sense. If they had the type of roster we would end up seeing in future LEGO DC games, I would hope they'd have a few more abilities to differentiate the characters more. The list ended with a bit of a whimper, with the most predictable character taking the top spot, followed by 3 more Kryptonians and close enough. But as just one final thought for LEGO Batman 2, I gotta say, all other LEGO DC games can do everything this game does better. You want fun, unique levels, and some good old-fashioned nostalgia, play LEGO Batman 1. If you want a diverse set of playable characters, go with LEGO Batman 3. If you're a fan of open worlds, LEGO DC Supervillains is your guy. What does that leave LEGO Batman 2 being the best at? I'd say nothing. But, I mean, that's just my take. If LEGO Batman 2 is your favorite, I get it. Anyways, expect to see a bit of a break in videos for a while as I work on the interim Jackbox video in the preparation for the next LEGO ranking. Chances are, by the time you're seeing this, I'll already be in the process of the pre-ranking of the next game. So make your guesses in the comments. I might give a little hint or two at some point. We'll see. But thank you for watching as always, and have a great day.